Hi, hi dear students. Welcome to my YouTube class as IBS classes. I'm SPM sir. Okay, today I'll explain the poem A Tiger in the Zoo. The title of the poem is A Tiger in the Zoo. Okay, it is written by Leslie Novice. And for you, it is in class 10 Beehive book. Okay, Beehive textbook. We have this lesson A Tiger in the Zoo. So the title of the poem is clear. There is a tiger is in the zoo. Okay, that is all about this one, the title. So, what will happen? What is the theme of this poem, and why the poet has to write or had to write a poem about the tiger which is in the cage? All these are the things that we should understand. By okay, so now at first you understand title of the poem, a tiger in the zoo. Tiger is already in the zoo. Understand my point? So now I will go to explain the line by line meaning of the poem. Understand? Line by line meaning of the poem. In prose order we will learn. Okay. So see, the poet begins the poem by saying, he stalks in his vivid stripes. He stalks in his vivid stripes. Okay? Understood? He. Who is the he here? Now let us see. The poet has used a personal pronoun he. So he. Okay. Now my question is, who is the he? Who is the he? He is the tiger. The tiger is the he. Okay. What is he doing? What is he doing according to the poet? What is he doing? Okay. He stalks. Stalks. What is he doing? He stalks. What is the meaning of stalks? Follows. He follows. He walks. He advances. Okay, he follows in his vivid stripes. Now, this part of the poem we should explain. What is that? In his vivid stripes. Here again, his means tiger. Vivid stripes. What is vivid? V-I-V-I. Vivid means clear, not vague. Stripes. Stripes means the long lines on the skin of the tiger. On the skin of the tiger. You might have noticed a tiger which has lines on its body, on its skin. That is, see, he stalks, the tiger stalks in his vivid stripes, means with his body full of stripes. Okay. And next time, the few steps of his cage. What is that? He stalks, meaning he walks the few steps. The few steps. What is the meaning of the few steps? The few steps means the length of the cage. Because the tiger is caged. The tiger is locked up in a cage. Understand my point? He's not free. He's in the cage. He's locked up in the cage. He's locked up in a concrete cell. You understand my point? You might have seen a tiger in the zoo. Okay? Where is it? They are always locked. Understand my point? So, see, the meaning of the first two lines of the first stanza of the poem is what? He stalks in his vivid stripes. The tiger is stalking, he's following in his vivid stripes with his body having stripes on it. See, the few steps of his cage. The tiger walk करता है means follow करता है. Few steps. That is a limited steps. A few steps means what? Limited steps. Tiger का movement restricted है. Tiger का movement restricted है. Had he been in the forest, there is no question of a few steps. He can walk as many steps as he wants because he is free in the jungle. is free in the wilderness of the jungle. Who is there to control the movement of a tiger in the jungle? Nobody. But here man has controlled the movement of the tiger. How many steps you can walk? It is already decided. It is already decided by the cage. It is already decided by the authorities who have made the cage. Understand my point? So, he talks in his repeated steps, the few steps of his cage. Next slide. Then third left. Then you see on pads. On pads. On pads. On pads means on pose. On pose. The tiger's pose. So understood my point? The tiger's pose. I mean, you can see legs on pads. It means on pads means on pose, on his legs. I can also write on his legs. Understood my point? Velvet kite. Velvet kite. Velvet से compare किया हुआ है. Velvet. Velvet means very soft. No, it's soft like velvet. Velvet kite means pairs are compared to what? Velvet. Quiet here means what? No. Quiet. Quiet means silent. Velvet means soft footed. Okay, soft footed anyway, tiger. Understand my point? That is why the pads, legs, the paws of the tiger is compared to velvet. Understand my point? Because of the silence, because of not making any noise. Then you see, in his quiet rage, quiet, quiet means silent, again silent. Rage means what? Anger means that can be violent. It can be violent if not controlled. Violent. Understand my point? So, anger means rage means anger, which can be violent. The tiger can be violent. The tiger can attack you. Tiger आके आ सकता है. ये केज का बाहर निकलने से tiger can attack you. Understand my point? But his anger is now silent. Means quiet. Quiet means it has suppressed its anger. The tiger knows that he is helpless. Tiger को मालूम है क्या? Helpless है. गुस्सा है लेकिन helpless है. बाहर निकल नहीं सकता है. It cannot come out of its cage and give vent to his ferocious nature. And that is the meaning of these 4 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let us go for a recap of the poem. He stalks in his vivid. He means the tiger. He is stalking means he is following. Where the few steps of his cage, how you see in his vivid stripes, means the body of the tiger is described here. All those you have seen. All of us have seen what the tiger's body, and the tiger's body is described here. The few steps of his cage means the tiger's movement is restricted. He is restricted. Okay. The tiger, अगर वो cage में नहीं हो, had it not been in the cage in the zoo, okay, had it not been in the cage in the zoo, it would have been in the jungle, it would have been in the forest, where he would be stepping or walking or following or running or doing anything as he likes. You understand my point? So, see the poem. He stalks in his vivid stripes, means the tiger is walking in his vivid stripes, and he can only walk the few steps. Which few steps? The few steps of his cage. The cage has decided how many steps he can walk on pants of velvet quiet. That means tiger's pose means legs. Is described here. It is compared to a velvet. Understand my point? Because of the softness. Okay. Because of the softness in his quiet rage. Now, in this last line, the tiger's rage is described here.
Rage is anger that can be violent, that can be means ferocious. Okay, rage can be expressed in a violent form, but the tiger is rage is quiet. चुपचाप है उसका. Rage है, means what? Angry है, means he has problem. He wants to attack you. He does not like his confinement. He does not like the captivity he is in. But he is helpless. So he has suppressed his anger. So the word is so the expression in his quiet rage. Hope you have understood the first stanza of the poem. Okay. Now, after understanding the word meaning, I have already written here on pads and on velvet. Velvet is yes. Pads are compared to velvet, and the quiet means silent. He is angry, but that anger is silent because he knows कोई काम का नहीं है. इसका गुस्सा होके कोई फायदा नहीं है. अंडरस्टैंड माय पॉइंट. इसका गुस्सा होके कोई फायदा नहीं है क्योंकि ही इज हेल्पलेस, ही इज लॉक्ड अप, ही इज इन द कैप्टिविटी ऑफ मैन, which the poet does not like. The poet does not like that the tiger is taken away from his natural habitat and is put in the cage, means away from its natural habitat. This is the meaning of the first 4 lines of the poem. Okay. Now, after this, we will understand the poetic devices used in this poem. Okay? Poetic devices used in this poem is the next thing that I am going to explain. What are the poetic devices? Poetic technique. The poet uses some techniques in writing poems to make the poem meaningful, or you see, look attractive, means what? Make it rhythmic and all. Okay, so that part of the poem is what we are going to discuss next. Okay.
After the line by line explanation of the poem, so let us see what are the poetic devices used in this poem. Okay, poetic devices is important because certain lines will be given, and in the exam it will be asked, identify the poetic device used here, or which poetic device is used here. You will have a number of options. 4 options will be there, and you will have to pick out the correct option, for which you will be awarded 1 mark. Okay, so we understand the poetic devices used in the first stanza of the poem. These 4 lines. Okay, so let us see number 1, that is personification. But personification. Okay, what is personification? What is personification? What is personification? Personification means personal quality, means human qualities are attributed to non-human things. Okay, human qualities are used or attributed to non-human things. non-human, जो आदमी करता है, जो आदमी करता है एनिमल्स को, या यस यू कैन सी दैट नॉन लिविंग थिंग्स को ऐसा हम लोग एट्रीब्यूट कर रहे हैं, वो क्वालिटी हम लोग उसका ऊपर डाल देता है. दैट इज कॉल्ड personification. Okay, so we identified the first poetic device used in the poem. Understand my point? Understand? Okay, that is personification. What is personification? When human qualities are attributed to non-human things, it is called personification. Okay, how the poet is used this poetic device here? You can see he is the example of personification here. He we use for human beings. Understand my point?
प्यार से हम लोग बोलते हैं ही शी, एनिमल्स को भी बोलते हैं, लेकिन जनरली what happen, it is used for human beings. Understand my point? So this is how the poet has used the poetic device personification here by calling him he. Okay. So there are many examples of see. For example, I say the flower smiled at me. Can the flower smile? No, the flower cannot smile. Who can smile? You can smile. I can smile. People can smile. Otherwise, you say flower cannot smile. But I say what? Flower smiled at me. Understand my point? Flower smiled at me. Flower is smiling at me. When I looked at the flower, in flower को देखा, हमको लगा, I felt as if, I felt like the flowers were smiling at me. So I used this word for flower. Understand my point? This is or the leaves in the air danced. The leaves in the air danced. Who can dance? I can dance. You can dance. People can dance. Our friends can dance. The boy can dance. But I have used that word. The leaves danced in the air. This is another example. Oh, these two examples are only examples. They are not used in this poem. In this poem, you can see the poet has used this poetic device. But by calling the tiger he, the first text, the first poetic device. I think you have understood. And second one, what is the second one? The second one is consonance. Consonance is the second poetic device that you will see in this stanza. What is consonance? Consonance means use of the same consonant letter several times in closely placed words. So use of consonant letter. Use of consonant letter several times in words which are closely placed. For example, you see here, he stalks in his favorite stripes. You see the stalks. It was stalks. Stalks as his as, then stripes yes. All these in this way you can see that the consonant letter S is repeated several times. So this is an example of what? Consonants. This is the second one. And then you see you have another one. The third poetic device used in the poem is assonance. What is assonance? Same. Here also there is repetition of the same letter. But here it is not the consonant letter. Here it is what? Vowels. That means vowel letter. Vowel letter. Same vowel letter is repeated several times. You see that? He stalks in his eye. His H-I. Vivid I. STRIP. Stripes. So this is another poetic device used here. That is assonance. Assonance means you have the same vowel letter repeated a number of times. So I think you have understood these two. Then the third one you can see. Number 3. The third poetic device used in the poem is fourth one I think. Now, fourth, that is metaphor. Metaphor. What is metaphor? Metaphor means comparison. Okay, comparison. Okay,
Comparison. Here, what is the metaphor used here? Yes. Pants of velvet quiet. Yes. The paws of the tiger are compared to velvet. Both are soft. To make this softness of the tiger, to make us understand this, the poet has used what is called metaphor. Understand my point? That is called metaphor. Metaphor means, yes, the pants are compared to velvet. Understand my point? That this is the fourth, what is called the poetic device used in this poem. Understand my point? Another is number 5. Number 5 is endowment. Okay. The next poetic device is enjambment. What is enjambment? Before explaining what enjambment is, you look at one thing. What is that? This line you see, here it is written on the board. That is why it may not be clear. But you look at your book, and these first 2 stanzas you can see, he stalks in his vivid stripes. You see, generally at the end of a sentence we put a punctuation mark. It may be a comma, it can be a full stop or a semicolon, like anything like that. We have to use at the end of it. But here you see, nothing is used. What happens? This line passes on to the next line. Okay. Without using any punctuation mark. No comma, no full stop, no question mark, no semicolon. No, not a single punctuation mark is used here. This type of poetic device is called enjambment. Okay? Enjambment. That means what? When one line or sentence is means passed on to the next or the third line or sentence without a punctuation mark. Yes, there you are. Okay, that is the meaning of enjambment. So we understood the meaning of enjambment. Many of you may not know what enjambment actually means. So you understood the meaning of enjambment. Okay, then you understood how the poet has used this poetic device in this particular stanza. In this particular stanza of the poem. Okay, so I think it is clear. Okay, I have made it clear to you. That's all. Very good. And now we will go to the next, that is oxymoron. Next poetic device used in this stanza, that is oxymoron. I think it is the 6th one. Yes, it's oxymoron. Okay, what is oxymoron? Oxymoron means use of 2 opposite words. Okay, use of 2 opposite words. Okay, the poet sometimes uses some opposite words together. You understand my? For example, you see original copy. Original भी है, OP भी है. Original तो अलग है, इसका copy हो गया. Understand my point? Original copy is an example. Loud whisper. ये दोनों opposite है. Okay, whisper means हल्का आवाज से बोल रहे हैं. Loud कैसे हो सकता है?
as a usage. That is called oxymoron. Two opposite words are used. Remember that. Two opposite words are used. Okay? So now it is clear what oxymoron means. And now the next question. How the poet is used oxymoron here. You see, quiet rage. Dekha? Quiet rage. Rage means anger. Rage cannot be means silent. There is no question of means rage being tranquil or silent. So here the two opposite words quiet and rage are used. That is oxymoron. Understand my point? These are the main poetic devices used in the first stanza of the poem. That is a tiger in the zoo. Understand my point? Okay? Yes. Oxymoron. The number one, it was personification. I will go for a recap of it because the poet has used, called the poet he. By doing so, he has used the poetic device personification. If you haven't understood yet, yes, from this recap, you must understand what personification is and personification and how the poet has used this poetic device here. Number two is consonance. Consonance. The poet has used the same consonant letter several times, a number of times in closely placed words. In closely placed words. And next is what? Assonance. Assonance. Assonance means the vowel sounds are repeated. I told you. In is yeah, and you may also get V is there again. This is another example. Okay, what? It's another example of assonance here. So we have two examples here. The first line is there, and in the you see in the third line also you will get E used here, repeated here. And number four was enjambment. Enjambment. Okay. Enjambment. Okay. Then enjambment. Then you see metaphor. Metaphor में comparison हो. Metaphor. It is not like simile. Simile I will explain afterwards. Okay. Metaphor is direct comparison. But if it is simile, you will use the word like as or like. Understand my point? So see, metaphor and then number 6. What was the sixth one? Metaphor and oxymoron. O, X, Y, and oxymoron. These are the poetic devices. I told you this is metaphor and not simile. Don't be confused. Okay, so now I will make you understand what is the difference between simile and the metaphor. In metaphor there is direct comparison. But in simile में देखो क्या है? There is a use of words like as or like. किसको हम लोग ये मेटाफोर इधर में यूज किया था. मेटाफोर क्या है? कौन सा मेटाफोर यूज किया था हम लोग? Yes, that means pairs of velvet quiet. इसको ये हो गया मेटाफोर. ये हो गया मेटाफोर. अगर उसको हम लोग सिमिली में करना है तो यस, words pairs were soft or were quiet like velvet. This is simile, but no simile is used in this because here he has not used any of these words, or he like, or he or as is not used. So in this stanza, the poet has not used a simile, he has used a metaphor. Only to make to make you understand the difference between simile and metaphor, I explained how this metaphor can be converted into simile. It's up to the poet which poetic device he wants to use. He can use metaphor or simile. Okay, that's all. If you had been the poet in his place, you would have been using simile instead of metaphor. Understand my point? That is poetic liberty. We can call it poetic license. Understand my point? So, after understanding the first stanza, I explained it line by line. Then we went for the poetic devices used in it. I also explained the meaning of the words used in the poem, and so now see, we will now move on to the next stanza of the poem. Okay.